Alright, and this is the Metal God 666 here, bringing you my top 12 albums of the year. Why 12? Well, because it's coming in 2012, so I figured, hey, why not? Why not do a top 12? You know, I know some people are out there doing top 30s or whatever. It's 2012. Yeah, whatever. Now, if you're a thrash metal fan, this had to be your year. You had to be loving this entire year. Because there's so many thrash metal albums that came out this year. And they fucking kicked ass. But now, moving right along on to my honorable mention. Now, if another album that's on this list hadn't came out, which it came out pretty recently, if that album came out, then that honorable mention album would be on here. Now, I do felt their previous work was far better. Was a far better album. Now, don't get me wrong, any stretch of imagination, this album's a good album, and it's definitely worth a listen to. I'm actually going to listen to it quite a few times, because anybody who has this album can vouch and say that this album, it just felt like you put it on track one and you're like, what the fuck, it's over already? Like, I don't feel it needed to be longer. I just felt it needed more substance. You know, and like I said, they can pull it off, being totally brutal, you know, but all in all, these songs live are fucking awesome. They make for some great brutal pits. And I happen to like this band a lot, so I was really looking forward. As soon as I heard they had a new album, I was like, yeah, I jumped right on it. But the album just seemed like it was missing something. And like I said, it's not a bad album, it's just an okay album. And like I said, if another album of this year hadn't come out, then yes, it would definitely be on my list. But the album is none other than Cannibal Corpse with Torture. Now, do keep in mind this is my list, so if your favorite album of the year is not on my list, you know, I'm sorry. I don't have time to listen to everything, you know. So, but all in all, let's get this list started, shall we? Okay, now coming at number 12. Is an album I was looking forward to, and the lead vocalist had said, you know, we're gonna bring it back old school, etc. We're gonna bring it, it's gonna be fucking brutal, etc. Okay, you know, most of the time when bands say that, they say they're going back to their roots, that they're going back old school, so they're doing this or that. Most of the time, it's not as good as they're making it out to be. And sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised when I do hear the album. So, without further ado, what's the album? Coming in at number 12 is Soulfly with Enslaved. Now, I've been listening to Soulfly since they got started. You know, and yes, their very early stuff is fucking awesome. And their other stuff has been a hit or miss kind of thing. But this album, if you haven't listened to Soulfly in some time, you might want to give this album a go. Because this album, from start to finish, is fucking awesome. Like, I couldn't stop listening to it after I got it. It was fucking awesome. Now, moving right along. This is another band I've been into for quite some time. And their older stuff is far better. But this album was definitely better than the last one, and it definitely was a good, solid album. You know, all in all, it was a good album. And if you don't know about this band, and you like symphonic black metal, you're not doing yourself justice. You need to listen to this band. What is the album? Well, it's Catamedia with the Rewritten Chapters. And as anybody can vouch, the older Catamedia is far better, far superior. Yes, their older stuff definitely is way better than this album. But this album is really good. Now, I was going to this album expecting, you know, something like the last album, you know. But they did have it for streaming on their website, so I just said, fuck it, you know, I'll listen to it there first. And listened to it one time through, and I'm like, damn, it was pretty good. So I listened to it again, listened a few more times till I was like, alright, that's it. This album's fucking good. And it's definitely, definitely better than their previous albums. You know. And like I said, if you don't know about Catamedia, you definitely need to check out this band. Now, if you're more into like the melodic metal, or you're more into like goth metal, or something like that, some along those lines, you'll probably dig the newer stuff than the older stuff. But if you're more into symphonic black metal, you'll definitely dig the old stuff if you don't know anything about this band. It's a band I definitely highly, highly recommend. Alright, now, next up is a band who I really don't think they put out a bad album from my remembrance, and I have pretty much had most of their albums, I think, if not all of them. And this album is definitely no exception. This album, from start to finish, is fucking awesome. It's another band I've been into for quite some time. And coming in at number 10 is Moonspell's latest release with Alpha Nora. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, this band walks a fine line between being black metal and goth metal. They they're like teeter-tottering on both, and they're able to pull it off in such a way that they can still remain black metal. Now, there's some bands out there who start out black metal and then they ended up going goth metal or end up doing something else. But this band tends to walk the line. And they do it very, very, very well. And it's another band, if you don't know about Moonspell, you need to check them out. Like, ASAP. Like, check them out. Pick up anything you want from them. And they're all awesome. Alright, next up is probably one of the most popular black metal bands. And no, it's not, band you're thinking about. And don't click off because you think it's going to be, Cradle of Filth or Demon Warrior. No, I'm talking about fucking black metal. And these guys are crazy as fuck live. Like, if you get a chance to see these guys, I definitely highly recommend that you go see them. Because it was fucking brutal. It was an awesome show. It was good timing to see them. They had some good supporting acts with this band. And it's just all in all. Now, this album was fucking good. And I felt like they just put out another typical, of their particular sound. Which is not a bad thing. But I did feel like their previous work was better. But this album, nonetheless, was still fucking good. And this is a band I'm pretty sure everybody knows about. Especially if you know about black metal. You should definitely know this band. You probably own quite a few albums from this band, too. Because this band is another band who has never put out a bad album. And I own everything from them. I love all their albums. So, who is it? Well, it's none other than the great almighty Marduk with Serpent Serum. Now, like I said, this album just felt like they just put out a typical Marduk album, which, like I said, is not a bad thing. They do it very well. But had this album probably had more of the variety like the last album did, it probably would definitely be higher on my list. But still, all in all, it's not a bad album. It's a good album. Pick it up if you don't have it. Definitely, definitely highly recommend it. Now, next up is another band I've been listening to for quite some time. And of course, they just had this album, just came out not too long ago. So I really haven't got a chance to really sit down and really dig into this album. Now, yeah, if it came out maybe even a month sooner, it'd probably be higher on my list. I mean, it's an amazing album. I still listen to it. I'm still digging it. And it's a band that never sold out. Have been around for fucking, 30 years this band's been around. And they never sold out. They never changed their sound. They always kept with that same formula. And they seem like they took a page out of another person's playbook with this album, because this album's very pissed off. Like, I can't wait to see this band live. You know. So, who is it? Coming in at number 8 is Destruction with Spiritual Genocide. Now, like I said, this album is fucking awesome. Definitely highly recommend that you pick it up if you don't already have it. Well, unless, of course, you don't like thrash metal. Then, of course, you don't want to pick it up. But anyways, it's a good album nonetheless. Okay, let's move along. Okay, now, next up is a band that's had their ups, they've had their downs. A band that I feel that is very underrated, especially when people talk about thrash metal. Now, yes, this band does have some bad albums, but they have a lot of great albums. And they've been putting out nothing but great albums. You know. The only reason why they put out those bad albums was because of their record label. The record label forced them to sound more like another band, Metallica, in the 90s. So that's the reason why their albums in the mid-90s were kind of lacking. But still, in all, this band is fucking awesome. Now, the first song kicks on, you're like, holy shit, this is definitely going to be a live song. You know, you just feel it. I mean, from start to finish, this album is fucking awesome. With their previous work is fucking awesome. So, I was definitely really looking forward to this album. Looking forward to see what they can do. And they still got it. Who is this band? Well, it's Testament with Dark Roots of Earth. And if you don't have this album, you're not doing yourself justice at all. Okay, next up is another band that I've been listening to. This tends to be the trend on this list, tend to be album bands I've been listening to for quite some time. You know, like I said, a lot of the older bands are coming out with some great fucking work. So, next up is a band that I really like a lot. They're able to be technical, but not overly technical. Like, they throw in technical parts, and some of the songs can be very technical. Yes, I will give you that. But this band has done amazing stuff. And their last album was just ungodly awesome. Who is it? Well, it's none other than the great almighty Nile with At the Gates of Sithru. Yeah, that album was fucking awesome. Definitely a good album. Highly recommend that album, especially if you like death metal. You know, that's one thing I love about Nile. Nile, like I said, is able to throw in technical parts, but is able to keep it, I wouldn't say simple, but not overly complex. You know. So, anyways, let's move on. That was number 6. So, now, moving right along to the next album. Now, this band is another band who I love all their albums. I got to see them live this year. You know, I even got to speak to them. You know, they're fucking cool. You know, they're really cool guys. And live, this band is definitely more of a live band. And their albums, they're doing kind of justice. Now, their earlier stuff, yeah, their live is better. But this band, all in all, live is fucking just beyondly brutal. I mean, like, that's the only word to describe this band. Is fucking awesome. It's definitely a grindcore band that, if you like death metal, and you absolutely hate grindcore, this is probably a band that you need to check out. Because they may change your mind when it comes to grindcore. And this album, they even played, like, a couple of these songs live. You know, I know they played at least one song off this album live, well before the album came out. And then got the album, and it's fucking awesome. And definitely deserves a spot on my number 5 list. And that's Pig Destroyer with Book Burner. And if you haven't seen this band live, definitely highly recommend that you see this band live. And the lineup that I've seen them with was fucking amazing, you know. It was Pig Destroyer, then after Pig Destroyer was Nauseum, then after Nauseum was Napalm Death. That was a fucking awesome show. I moshed my ass off to Pig Destroyer, because I love them. This is probably one of my favorite grindcore bands, especially coming out of the US. Alright, moving right along. Next up is an old school band. Yes, another old school. I know, big surprise there. But yes, another old school band. And it's another band I feel is very, very underrated. Like, when people... It's another band that not all people talk about when they talk about thrash metal, especially when they talk about the creation of thrash metal. This band was arguably probably one of the very, very, very first thrash metal bands. One of the very first. I wouldn't say the absolute first, but they're definitely up there. I mean, arguably, probably, you say Motorhead probably be the, you know, godfather of thrash metal. You know. But still, this band, fucking amazing. Their last album just blew me the fuck away. And this album was even better. I don't know how that happened, but anyways, band never ceases to amaze me when it comes to shit. So, anyways, without further ado, it's the great almighty Overkill with The Electric Age. And if you don't have this album, you definitely need to go pick it up, like, right now. Like, go to the store, go get it. I don't care, get the shit off iTunes for all I give a shit for. You need to hear this album. This album is fucking amazing. Now, moving right along, now we're in the top 3. Now, these albums were in heavy, heavy rotation this year for me, when I got them. Especially number 1. Number 1, I listen to that. I still almost listen to that album like almost every day. You know, I never get tired of these albums. Alright. Next up is a band that is fucking awesome! They're amazing. They cannot I don't think they can do it bad. Now, you know, when it comes to black metal, especially when it comes to black metal, clean vocals in black metal always seem to be a hit or a miss. Like, it has to be done at that precise time. That's with any extreme metal, not just black metal, but any extreme metal. If the clean vocals don't come in at that particular right time, it's not going to come out right. You know. And I'm probably going to screw up the name of this album. I'm sorry. If I say it right, cool. If not, oh well. But anyways, this band, their last album was fucking amazing. And like I said, they tend to do clean vocals very, very, very well as well. You know, it's a good mix. You know. Who is it? Well, it's none other than Enslaved with Ritter. Now, this album is an album that you need to sit down and you need to pay attention to and listen to, because there's so much stuff going on in this album. It's like not even funny. It is so awesome. From start to finish, this is an album you don't want to stop listening to. And it's Enslaved. If you don't know about Enslaved, you might want to start picking up some of their stuff, like ASAP. Alright, now, moving right along to my number 2 spot. Now, this band is another band I'm listening to for quite some time. They've never had a bad album. Ever. You know? Their last album was fucking awesome, too. So I was really, really looking forward to this album, because it had been a long-ass time since this band has put out an album. And I just seen this band live this year. They're fucking amazing live, too. They are definitely one hell of a fucking band. And I don't know what else to say with this band. This band is just awesome. They keep on just getting better and better and better. It was so awesome. It's so awesome. It's definitely a CD that was in high rotation in my albums. And coming in at number 2 is Naglfar. That's right, the almighty Naglfar with Taras. I probably screwed that one up too, but, you know, forgive me. But, anyways, this album was just fucking amazing. It blew me away. I was really looking forward to this album, because, like I said, it had been a long time. It's been, like, what, like 5 years? It'd been at least 4 or 5 years since their previous work came out. Maybe even 6 almost. But when this band comes out with an album, you could bet your ass it's going to be good. So, if I have to wait for an insanely good album, I will. So, anyways, let's move right along with my number 1, because, as a scene from the clock, it's already been quite a bit of time. So, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Alright, so this is another band, yet again, that I've been listening to for quite some time. And this band, I don't know what the hell they're on, but their previous album was just fucking awesome. It was brutal. It was how thrash metal should be. And this album, definitely no exception. This album just blew me away from start to finish. And if you don't have this album, that's all I can say is, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go out there and pick up the deluxe edition. Because the deluxe edition comes with a bonus CD of live. It's all live stuff. It's fucking awesome. Definitely highly recommend. If you don't have this, or you don't know anything about this band, and you like thrash metal, or if you're just getting into thrash metal, this is a band you definitely want to pick up. Now, this is another band in the 90s where they changed their sound. And I felt like they were trying something new, but they came back to form and have been putting out great work ever since. And this is definitely probably one of my top 5 favorite thrash metal bands of all time. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and get into it. Number 1 album of the year for me is Kreator with Phantom Antichrist. This album, damn. That's all I have to say about this album is damn. From start to finish, this album will fucking kick your ass. And yeah, they even have variety on the album as well. Like they can be brutal, but they can also have variety as well. This album, like I said, from start to finish, it was fucking amazing. Actually, I might even go play it later on today. Actually, I probably will. Because the album, like I said, from start to finish, is just amazing. That's only words can describe that. And they kicked everybody else's ass. I don't know what's up with this year with all these, old school bands coming out and kicking all these young guys' ass. Like Kreator's been around for fucking, 30 years or more, and they're putting out heavier shit than most of these young guys that are coming out now. So, I think from what I feel, like since the newer guys are coming out with some heavy shit, they're like, you know what, we gotta show you how to fucking do it. We gotta show you how thrash metal is fucking done. That's right. So, Kreator, Phantom Antichrist. That's all I gotta say. Album's fucking amazing. Pick it up. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyways, this is the Metal God 666 here. Signing out, telling you guys keep it metal. I'm out.